Working on the 1930 Ford two-door sedan. This is episode 9, I believe. Either 9 or 10, I'm not sure at this point. It's 9. No, it's 10. 9. 9. This is episode 9. I don't know. 10. 9. 9. I'm going to cut this back, remove this from the frame, and then slice that frame and bend this tab up. But I'm going to grab another jack stand, grab some shims, put some shims in here to hold this frame up.
I need my beat at any expense. It doesn't make sense, but every cell in my body eats its protein.
So far, this is actually working out pretty good. Most times the angle of the mounting plate or the flange on the steering box doesn't really work, but this seems to be working pretty good. It puts my column essentially right where the old column used to be. The Model A column, the hole was down here and it stopped. Let's go inside and see where the wheels lands and see if it'll go up high enough with this relief. If anything, it's gonna have to go up. I'll have to relieve the bottom of the dash probably, I don't know, maybe an inch, just to get it up a little bit more. You need to be able to move your legs. You need to be able to move your knees so you can get to the pedals. But as far as alignment goes, it appears to be centered for the driver. Tons of clearance between the door edge and the edge of the wheel. There's plenty of clearance here between the front of the wheel and the dashboard. If you guys are in the market for a steering column for a Model A and you're not sure what to get and you don't want to spend the money on an F100 setup or an F1, at this point so far, without having a motor in the frame rails, I would highly recommend this steering column. I would imagine they're a lot less expensive than an early Ford. Again, I paid $20 for this. The person didn't know what it was, and I didn't want to pay any more than that. Actually, that was his price. He said, 20 bucks, take it out of here. It's the perfect length. Most times with a Ford truck, you have to remove 4 inches off the end of the steering column. You have to section it, you have to shorten it down, shorten the tube, and that requires taking everything all apart and whatnot. With this, I'm not modifying it at all. And it looks to me that I'm gonna be able to use the stock column drop and be able to mount it underneath behind the 38 dash, and I'll be able to mount it right directly to the original Model A gas tank where the mount originally was. But obviously I have to make some modifications for that because it's a different angle and everything. I can find my marker and make a quick measurement or make a quick mark on where I need to relief this 38 passenger car dash. I'd like to use a hole saw because it would cut it. It would cut it just right. I'm gonna try using a hole saw. I don't know how that's gonna go. I'm gonna remove the steering wheel and the column, get this out of here, and get a relief cut up in there. All right, let's go to see if I can get a hole saw in there and get it started and get a relief cut. You guys see that a little bit better now? You see where I'm gonna cut it? Get this here. Just gonna try to create like a radius. I don't know that the hole saw is gonna really work out the way I want it to. So let's see.
And rabbits that don't know how to kill and conquer, to win and rule. Oh, it's what we learn.
Alright, let's grab that column, throw it back in here and see kind of where we're at. I think I need to do a relief on the firewall now because I think it's going to go up a little bit more. It was practically touching. So I'm going to take my hole saw and just do that right now. spin this down. That's hitting the bottom of the gas tank. The factory Ford Model 8 gas tank is still in there. All right. I'd say we're getting close. I don't want to have to cut it too much. Hopefully I won't, but if I have to, I will. I'm gonna hop in and see what it's like. I wish I had a way to hold this up. Grab a bungee cord real quick. See if I can hold this steering wheel up on the header. Yep, perfect. Channeled hot rods are a lot harder to make work because of the floor being higher. You're restricted with your seating position, and you're especially restricted with your steering setup. It is a little low. I don't know that I can go up much more. The only way I could do that would be if I slid the steering column back, and I may still end up doing that. I would just have to weld up the flanges that I cut. Alright guys, I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So I ended up deciding to just move forwards with moving the column back. I measured back 3 inches. Basically right at the front of this anyways, happened to be 3 inches. I cut another slice out of the top of the frame, heated and bent this up. Now what I did was I measured 3 inches back. I've got my measurements. I'm going to drill a hole a little bit larger than this hole, but with the inside diameter of my hole saw, my drill bit, I should be able to take the slug that I pull out of here and use that as a filler, or the hole for the original steering box. That is not only going to bring the wheel back further, closer to the seats, I'm going to be able to raise it up higher too, just because of the angle and the trajectory of the steering column. Let's grab my air hose and get this thing drilled out. That helped a huge amount. Lots of clearance now behind the dash. Not that there wasn't enough before, but it really wasn't comfortable. And by moving the column back, it raises the trajectory of the steering column, which raises the steering wheel, which in turn should give me a little bit more leg room. Should definitely work out pretty good. Let's see. I won't know where the pedals are going to be until I get my motor and transmission installed, because of the linkage in regards to the pedal assembly and the transmission, or the clutch linkage. That's really going to tell me exactly where my seat's going to go, because, you know, it'll be in relation to your leg length and your arm length for the steering wheel. But I'm going to hop in right now and kind of see how that feels, see what I have for leg room now. It was a little cramped before, but I think this is going to make a big difference. I think I can get in the car without hitting the wheel. I think this seat will be a little bit lower if I were to cut an inch or two of foam out of it. Perfect sight of the gauges. I'm a bit vertically challenged, like I said in an earlier video. I'm 5'9". It's a perfect height for a hot rod. I got that going for me. I can't even touch the firewall with my feet. I have short little troll legs, but I have room underneath for my knees. I wouldn't have any problem right now the way this car is set up. I wouldn't have any problem driving this car. So I think that's a win. Next, what I'm going to have to do is figure out some type of a column mount. All right, I'm going to leave this hanging just where it is. It's clamped on the frame. I'm going to get to work on the dash. I'm going to do these little filler pieces on the top edges, maybe build some mount. If I can get the dash secure enough and it's got enough integrity that I can mount the steering column to it, I just assume do that, but we'll see. Again, I don't know what I'm going to have for room. I really hope I have enough room with this setup. This thing is working out slick. Alright guys, I'm back. Got that steering just kind of figured out and all set up real quick. Next, I had said we're going to work on these little fillers. I have to have the heat on. I don't know if you can see my breath, but I'm freezing. It's not enjoyable being in the garage when it's cold. I hope I get my real heating system fixed soon. I got a little scrap cut off piece from my gas tank mount. I'm gonna trace these out onto it. This template seems to work pretty good for both sides of the dash, so that'll make my life a little easier. I'm not really sure how I'm gonna do this yet. I may just stretch it with a hammer. Let's get this transferred over and get these cut out. Apologize again for the heat. If you guys don't have these, you should definitely pick some up. I buy them on Amazon. The small little rare earth magnets. They're super strong. I got some with little handles on them. These aren't as strong, but they still work really good. But these 1/2-inch cubes, these things work amazing. But I'm missing probably 2/3 of the ones that I bought. The reason why is I stick them on things, and then I forget they're there and I lose them. So there's probably a bunch of them on my 29 sedan. I just haven't found them yet. Probably find them when I pull it apart.
We don't worry about seas. We recycle and sort by source. We've banned all plastic straws, quit smoking. Oh, every paycheck we get.
I'm gonna go grab a couple of things that I need. I'm gonna shut the camera off for a few minutes and come back, and we're gonna start stretching these, and I'm gonna do it the old school way. You'll see. We're gonna grab a hammer and an old piece of railroad track, and I'm gonna try my best to shape these to get them to fit on the dash. All right, back. So I had said to you earlier, we're gonna shape these two little pieces of sheet metal for the dash fillers with a railroad track. I did all of the metal shaping, most of it, on my 29 sedan with this exact piece of railroad track. I got this given to me from a friend. I reached out to her and said, hey, if you have an opportunity, she worked at the railroad at the time, get me a piece of railroad track, and she showed up with this. And I was really appreciative, and I still use it to this day, 7 years later. It's been a little while since I used it, so I'm gonna get reacquainted with it. All I have here right now is a ball peen hammer. I'm gonna grab a couple other hammers. And really what I need to work on is just the larger area of both of these pieces. I need to stretch these and shape these. So as I'm hitting it, I'm gonna be putting downward pressure on it to get them to curl. And I really need to get these to curl quite a bit. So I gotta drop this edge down. So we're gonna get to work and see how it goes. If it doesn't work out and I need to shift gears, then I'll scrap it. I still kept my template. I'll make another one and we'll go from there. So first things first, I'm just gonna start.
10% is donated to clean our car.
You guys know a lot about sheet metal and metal shaping. I'm a newbie at it. I've done enough to get me to where I am. But as you hit this sheet metal, at each strike on the sheet metal, you're forcing the metal in, but you're forcing it out. So therefore it stretches and the metal has to go somewhere, so it goes out. And that's where you end up getting your shape from. The downfall to this is the metal starts to get real thin. So you gotta be careful to not work it in the same spot over and over again, or you'll go through the metal. You gotta listen for that tinny sound. That's how you know you're getting good contact. Yeah, that hammer is just a little too flat. And again, I'm not hitting real hard, as you can tell. I'm just tapping it. I'm keeping downward pressure on it, shape it. I'm gonna do my first round of this real quick, and then we'll bring it over to the car, see how it looks, and then just keep working until it fits. I'm gonna turn the heat back on because it's cold. Kind of get that chill in your bone, you know? Alright, so I'm going back over it with a little nylon hammer. One end is rubber, the other end is plastic nylon. I used this same method on my last car that I was working on the T on a couple areas, and then also on the 29 sedan. This kind of smooths it back out. This piece is already really close. This just kind of smooths out some of the divots from the ball peen hammer. It's still a hard enough surface that it gives a little stretch to it as it's smoothing it out. So essentially I'm planishing this. trying to rotate the metal, keep it in contact as you hit the hammer on this piece of sheet metal. You want it in contact with the top of the whatever you're using to form the metal with. So I'm going to show you guys where we're at on the car. Like I said, it's already pretty close. Grab my Sharpie, I'm not sure where I put it. I'm gonna grab my Sharpie, make some measurements, and we're gonna get this thing trimmed down and fit on the car and get it tack welded in place. So that little bit of shaping has got us pretty close. Like I said, I do have to fine tune it around this edge. The template was originally for the passenger side. I knew I could get away with it on the driver's side. So I'm gonna get this a little bit closer. I'm gonna get this scribed here, and I'll probably end up cutting the dash and then fitting this piece onto the dash, so I'm not trimming this piece to fit all these jagged corners. Whoever did this did a pretty good job with it. They just didn't finish it. So what I ended up doing was I ended up making a mark here where the dash sat on the Model A dash rail. I need to trim that out. I'm at that point going to clamp it back to the dash rail and then get these pieces set in place.
10% is donated to clean our conscience, and it works out great.
I also made my marks here where this filler, the other filler piece is gonna go, so I'm gonna get this trimmed back. I'm gonna mount this dash back in the car, get this filler panel put in, and then I'll get this side shaped up. Pieces right here. And I'll get this side put on.
Why should we change? Let's be more efficient. Come for a better climb.
I'm gonna remove that section that I just marked here.
Let's be more efficient. Come on, perform better, climb higher, educate away. I am all my degrees, my masters. Hey, look at me, I am somebody. It's what I've learned at school. It's what I've learned at Carbon dioxide. My conclusion is that it's
All right, everyone. Well, that's going to be it for me. Another episode of the working on the 1930 Ford two-door sedan. This is episode 9, I believe. Either 9 or 10. I'm not sure at this point. It's 9. No, it's 10. 9. 9. This is episode 9. I don't know. 10. 9. 9. I don't know. I had already said before, this is what I'm calling the working man's hot rod. So this is just to show everyone that you can build these cars on a budget. If you have experience doing this, it's obviously easier. You know what parts you're going to need. You may already have everything you need. There's a lot of guys around here that throw these cars together and just sell them. You know, it's a way to make extra money, and that's kind of what I'm doing with this one and all the parts that I have. I went a little off course today. We got the steering kind of mounted, or at least mocked up at this point. I ended up welding some stuff. Maybe I shouldn't have. It may bite me in the ass moving forwards, but we'll see. I'm gambling, hoping that it's not going to bite me in the ass. Worked on the dashboard. I was pretty excited. I got that in there last night and I liked how it looked, so I thought today I'd just kind of jump in on that and do that. Kind of nice finishing off the inside of the car. So I got the gas tank. I still got to get the straps. I'm looking online. They're expensive, so I didn't really want to spend the money, so I'm going to try to look and see what I have around here before I go and spend the money. We got the gas tank, everything basically mounted and done. The seats are in position. I know what seats we're going to be using, or I'm going to be using. They'll have to do the battery box or the battery mount, whatever they want to do. All the floors, the sheet metal work is done for the most part, at least the fabrication, the welding's not. But again, I'm going to leave something for the next guy. If it doesn't sell, I'll keep doing it. I'll keep working on it. We got the dash installed, mounted, the filler panels in, the column drop, the steering wheel where I think I like it. I think it'll be comfortable for most people. It'll just be a seat position at that point. So again, I kind of went off course a little bit today, but it was a fun project. It was something fun to do, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm still moving forwards on the car. Next time, what I would plan on doing today, I'll just do the next time. As you guys know, a day in the shop and you actually get something done and accomplished, checked off the list, that's a productive day as far as I'm concerned. Thanks everybody again for following along. There's been a lot of good comments, a lot of good questions. There's been some interest in the car, which is pretty cool. You know, I had the wheels and tires mocked up, so I kind of got excited when it looks like an actual hot rod. This car ultimately is going to be a Northeast Vintage Drags starter kit. Everything that you need to go race Northeast Vintage Drags is this car right here. Every single piece on this car. We're a lot more lenient on requirements for this particular event. We are promoting it as a flathead. We don't care about the transmission. We don't care about the rear axle. We're also including, and we're really excited about this, early overhead valve motors. So when I say that, we're talking early Cadillac, early overhead valve Cadillac, so 49 and up. Early Oldsmobile, same thing, 49 and up. You know, all the Olds Rockets guys, the 303, 324s, the 371s, 394s, all those motors, those are in. Early Hemis, Poly motors, Y blocks, FE motor, Ford FE motors, Pontiacs. Any early overhead valve drivetrain is in. We don't care if you have an automatic transmission, we don't care if it's a stick, we don't care if it's a 3, 4, 5, 6 speed, we don't care. You can run slicks if you want. We're going to do a no prep surface on the track. We can do a 500 tree, we have the option to do a pro tree, or we have the option to do flag starts. We're really excited about that. We wanted to do that at the other event, we weren't able to because of insurance and liability reasons. We're really excited about the fact that we can have flag girls start on a vintage drag strip. The track is located in Oxford, Maine. It is about 3.5 hours away from here, which is about an hour, hour and a half, hour and 15 closer than the other track, which is a big deal. It's about little over 2 hours from Boston. So there's a lot of things we're going to be able to add onto this event, and we're really excited about it. There's on-site camping if people need to camp on site. There's bathrooms on site, so we have access to the bathrooms. Plus there'll be porta potties. We're going to have some kids things to do for the kids and the families, and you know, the families with kids. We're just really excited about the event, and we're looking to have a good time, and we're looking for all those old hot rods that are sitting in people's garages that they want to go and drive them and race them, and they can't because there's nowhere to race them. No one will let us race these old cars because they won't pass NHRA tech inspection. They won't pass that. So this is another non-sanctioned track up in Maine, and it's kind of like the wild frontier when it comes to drag racing. So really excited about that. But again, to close out this video, we're moving along on the sedan, the working man's hot rod. This is basically a how to build a hot rod tutorial, a series. If you want to channel a hot rod, there's a little extra work involved, but it's not that hard, it's not that difficult. If you're running a highboy, you can eliminate the first 2 or 3 videos on this, especially if the body's good. If you're building a highboy and you're not channeling, you basically need to do exactly what I did, minus setting the body down over the chassis. You get your sub rails built on the chassis with your wood blocks and everything else. You get it all mocked up. You set your body down on top of your sub rails that are set already where you need them to be. and then you just go through your attachment points. If I can do this stuff, you guys can do this stuff. And I hope these videos are some inspiration for you guys, maybe young guys that want to get into hot rod. And just like myself, I couldn't afford to buy a car, I had to build one. This is a combination of all the parts that I bought and didn't use, and I'm just going to keep pulling parts out of the shipping container, like that 38 dash and those wheels and tires. There's going to be a lot of good parts on this car, and I'm not trying to cheap out. I'm not trying to get rid of all my junk. I'm trying to build a car that's kind of a quality car, but it's still a little rough around the edges. But a lot of people like cars like that. I kind of do too. I'm really starting to dig this thing. It's coming out pretty good. Thanks everyone again for following along. I really appreciate the support. Thanks for all the kind words, the messages, all the positive vibes. It's really cool that people are digging this car, and it makes me happy. And it makes me happy that I can help people that are maybe stuck on their projects and they're learning something from watching one of these videos. And everyone's been just amazing. Everyone's really excited to see what the next video is, to see what I'm gonna do and watch this car come together. And, it's coming together pretty quick. So thanks again. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.